I'm kind of a fag, but I really like those YouTube channels that do the text-to-speech reading of these stories. I prefer them to the ones where it's read by an actual person.
Well, have I got a video for you, Anon. Be me. Earlier today. Going squirrel huntin'. In a woods. In Ozarks on public land. Hike a ways in. Walking around. See huge flock of turkeys. See raccoon fucking around by creek. See couple of rabbits. Find half of an 8-point, almost 10-point, shed. No squirrels, but all in all a good day. Heading back to car. Walking along big ass creek. Probably around 60 feet wide. Has a channel in the middle that fluctuates between 4 and 6 feet deep. Supposed to be good panfish and black bass fishing. Pig related. It's been cold and wet. So the creek is running a bit high. The banks are all muddy. Notice a couple places where it looks like animals went down to the water and then slipped in or something. Take a few pics as I walk. Stop and look into water. Notice what looks like a big dark spot under the water. Looks around 4.5 feet to 5 foot long. Notice it kind of looks like it's got a fat tail and a fat round head. Probably just a log or something. Continue walking back to car. Hear small splash. Look to see if raccoon bro is swimming. Water above and behind weird log is moving slightly. Kind of looks like it's turned towards me. Keep walking but get creepy feeling. Notice it looks like it's drifting along behind me. Kind of parallel to my path. Stop and stare at it. Trusty Nef Fudge shotgun in hand. It drifts a bit more than stops. Water's running, so it's probably just a floating branch, or something that got snagged. Come to a drainage ditch about 5 feet deep that runs into the creek. Maybe has a foot of water in it. Hop down and start to cross it. I swear the log looks like it started to drift towards the drainage ditch. Scramble up the other side quickly. Keep walking. Notice the log is still tracking my path. Get a weird thought in my head. It kind of looks like a big ass hellbender. Starting to get more freaked out. Start to pick up my pace. It's moving faster too. Every drainage ditch I come to makes me want to vault it. Get to a part of the creek where a small branch makes kind of a big loop. Ain't no fucking way I'm crossing that. Take the long way around. Don't see it in the loop. I was probably right, just a log. Feel stupid. Come back around to the other side of the loop, following the creek again. A bit further ahead, notice what looks like the log in the creek. Well, no shit, creeks have logs in them. Stare hard at it. Almost looks like it has 2 duller brown spots on its head. Get paranoid and feel like it's staring at me. Tell myself I'm stupid and keep walking. Stop for a minute to check my phone. Back to the creek. Suddenly hear a splash like something getting out of a pool and some sticks break. Ah, hell fucking no. Haul ass out of there like a fucking hero. Definitely not like a pussy. Go a literal quarter mile into some open fields with no cover. Using phone map approximation, trace a roughly parallel path to the creek. Maintain a solid quarter mile separation. Get back to vehicle, nope the fuck out. So yeah, there may be carnivorous 5-foot-long fucking hellbender things in the Ozarks waters. What did you guys do today? Be me, a few weeks ago. Had planned orientation march in Alps for some time. Germany and off duty, so no funds allowed. Drove over an hour to get there. Stupid me got wrong starting place. Had to track around private roads and stuff to finally get to intended start. 11 p.m, gear up. Full mill equipment plus some weights in backpack. Comfy and ready to go. Road was right next to a river. Had to follow that one for quite some time. Ice and snow on road, so have to be careful to not fall and go over the edge into river. Stopping every now and then to check compass and self-drawn map, for extra fuck points. Road feels longer than it should be. Step count is consistent with actual distance I should have covered. Stupid feelings. Some would feel watched but don't care. Pass let-ins from other rivers. Water is fucking loud in the dead of night. Am pretty sure somewhere in the next 500 meters I need to find a crossing. Get closer to the edge of the road with river to look ahead for any bridges. Not gonna go through river. Wave. See nothing but river is winding, so no surprise. Sudden sound of huge water splash somewhere close. Jump, but after some looking around sure it was just some retarded fish. Finally find the bridge. Looks like it's being used by hunters and stuff with their vehicles. Safe enough. Go over, some planks still sound as if they were about to give away. Get over it fast. Big white open field. That's not on my map.jgp. Stop, take a piss and decide to march with compass heading and keep close to the river. Good choice. Takes like half an hour but end up on the most likely right track. Managed to hit the ground 3 times since ground is mostly ice and no snow. Feeling of being watched intensifies. Grunt my disappointment towards the tree. No answer. Walk on. Hit pick related. Fuck. No walking beyond this point. Turn back and take longer route around, possibly also blocked off, or just surrender. Derp. Go in, nobody is going to notice. Sorry for sideways pick, phone poster. Trail leads upwards through the woods. Nothing happens for quite some time. It's already 2 a.m. Trail gets worse and worse. Just ends. Check map. Apparently there used to be a continuous trail. Compass time. Feel watched but resist urge to turn headlamp on. Keep moving quietly. Finally the trail appears again. Keep moving in a fast pace. Feel eyes in my back. Reach vantage point from where it's only down and back to my starting point. Pause with coffee and water. Feels good. Urge to move on hits suddenly after a cup of coffee. Downward seems fucking fast. Arrive at the river, just other side. It's just a few kilometers left along the river back to my car. Hear splashing sound again. Fuck no feeling. Look around and turn on headlight. Something moving among trees on other side of the river. Feel watched even more. Decide to turn off light and move faster. Ice is a bitch. Fall 2 more times and almost a 3rd time. Feel as if something is laughing at me. Fuck you. Reach bridge and jog across. I take a look at my watch. It's almost 6 a.m. How the fuck? Complete track was about 30 kilometers. Took me 7 hours. Getting angry at myself for slacking off and stargazing too much. Finally reach my car and start packing up. Still feeling watched. Look around, see nothing. Enter car, begin driving off. See something on the trail, I started the march. Look slender, close to the tree line. I'd say about 1.5 meters or more of height. Looks humanoid but otherwise too dark. Feel like someone is looking at me smiling but still nope the fuck away. Dunno, probably just a deer and some fish in the water, but was sure weird. Also I was pretty sure that I was on time when I reached the vantage point, and that I even got faster on the way down. Should have taken 5 hours tops. Not 7. 2012. Old strip mine near me. No mining done for years. They were after coal, I believe. Nature has started to take everything back. Take tool limousine and a leather ammo pouch full of 54R with me. Parked truck in out of the way location. Some paths still bear stone from all the heavy machinery. Take one in a mine. Explore for several hours. Deep ruts from dump trucks have tiny streams in them. Eat handfuls of blackberries. Briar bushes, thick vegetation, locust trees. Nature is fucking brutal. Shaved all the spikes off a locust sapling and used as walking stick with my mosin slung over my back. Cut my way through deep thick watery plants to get to unmined area. Eventually get under tree cover so easier walking. Follow deer trail further into woods. Enter semi-clear area, no briars, no tall standing plants, just sticks and leaves. Find a stack of cut firewood. Find circle of rocks for campfire, unused. Find trashed tent, unoccupied, staked but collapsed. Severely weather worn. Leave so I don't get murdered. Wasn't ever able to find the place again. Happened in eastern Ohio. Mushroom hunting in easternish Ohio 2013. In reclaimed strip mine that borders woods. Looking for sulfur shelves, puffballs, morels, and pawpaws, not mushrooms but whatever. Actually looking for psilocybe ovoideocystidiata and Gymnopolis luteus, but if I find something I can cook I'd grab that too. Have home-built Bulgarian AK-74 slung over back just because. No supplies other than a plastic bag to contain my fungus. Trudge my way through the wasteland of the strip mine. It's all clay and shale so nothing grows there except for locust trees. Make it to woods and enter through a weak spot in the foliage. Deep in a woods commence mushroom scan. A large amount of indistinguishable little brown mushrooms. Brown gills, white, yellow. Not what I was looking for. Head deeper. Ohio forests usually aren't all that thick. The maples and sassafras and cherry trees were nearly blotting out the sun though. Had never been in that part of the woods. Couldn't even find any trash from other humans. Continue examination of every dead log and every patch of mushrooms I could find. Extremely focusing on one particular patch of caramel-colored mushrooms when a single stick snap about 30 feet back breaks my concentration. Don't turn around immediately because I don't want the Germanons to get out of my sight. Continue listening while holding dead still in a squat over a rotten log. I hate the cliché but it was silent. No burbs, no bugs, no wind. The only sound was my very slight tinnitus. I stand up and my readjusting bones echo through the woods. Another stick snap. Slow, crushing sound, like it's being broken very deliberately by bracing it up against your knee and pulling back with both hands. Run anxiety.exe. Do a 360 complete scan. Nothing. Aren't even any good places to hide. No large shrubs or anything underneath the canopy. Just trees. Attempt to quell my worries by re-evaluating my situation. I'm really not that deep in the woods. Before entering from the mine if you turned you could see the road where I parked about a mile away, and people lived on that road. Bears are wildly uncommon, as are wolves. Coyotes are huge pussies. Other predators don't exist in Ohio. I'm armed with an AK. Feeling of unease doesn't subside. Decide to man up and get over it. Recommence mycology study. Start to leave area to a clearing that has some sun. Cross threshold into the light. Still can't shake feeling of eyes. I have permission to be on that land from the family who owns it. It borders land owned by a man who isn't on good terms with the family, don't know why. Fiberglass stakes with orange ends are the property markers, but I didn't see any. Could have easily missed them. I very well could be trespassing. Go to center of clearing to bask in the sun. Wildlife has come back to life. The cheeps of birds can be heard again. About to consider beginning to relax. God-awful scream. Like hoo-oh-oh-oh-ah. The hoo was very low and gravelly. The woo ascended in pitch. And the ah was nearly a screech. Most definitely not a bobcat. I've checked. The sound actually hurt my ears. It echoed in the valley. Run panic.js. Unsling AK and shoulder. Basically on a constant 360 looking for any movement. Nothing. Legs began to noodle. Unconscious action being taken by lizard brain forced me back the way I came. Wanted to take off in a dead sprint, but terrain prevented that. Still moving at a brisk pace though. Re-enter dark part of woods. Probably about 100 yards from the clearing. Stop and do another scan over top my rifle sights. Realize I left the chamber empty and cycled around quickly. Heart still hearting very quickly. Woods closing in on me because fear. Hear crashing coming from my 3 o'clock. Turn and face, finger on trigger. Nothing. Sound stops. Brief moment of peace. Serene wilderness. I took the long way home from work and took a pic while driving down the road. Strip mine related. About at spot where I initially heard the sticks break. Brief calm has faded back to dull panic. Start backing away from the noise. Going the wrong way but don't care. Foliage is beginning to shift from hollow wet knee-high green plants to chest-high briars. Trying to stay out of pokies but also trying to not take eyes off direction I was facing. Deer trail is easiest path. No idea where it goes. Arms heavy and knuckles white from the exertion of walking backwards while shouldering a rifle. Panting heavy. Sweat in eyes. Briars in ass. It's been like 10 minutes since the growl howl thing. Lower rifle and turn and run. That feeling, when walking up the steps at night? Something horrible chasing you up the stairs? Have that sensation entire way back. Looming terror breathing down my neck. Find edge of mine. Thick brush between me and the barren wasteland that is the mine. Give no shits and waltz right through it. On top of high wall I have to circumnavigate. Skitter my way across to an area where I can jump down. Make it all the way down into the clear rock and clay plains. In the open I feel relief. Can't be snuck up on. Turn back and look and listen to the woods. Very quick branch snaps. Imagine the sound of breaking a dead pine branch off of the base of the tree, just a quick pop. No pine trees there though. GTFO through the mine. Always tried to take a less visible way in and out to avoid conversation with the owners. Not that time though. Uneventful way back to my car. Didn't unload rifle until I got home. Tell my dad. Suggests bobcat. Tell friend. Suggests the psilocybin monster. Ask owner's son little while later. Left out a lot of detail. He hunts in and around there pretty frequently. He didn't know a thing. Western Ontario, Canada. Hanging out in the woods. Full kit, white Canadian cold weather suit. Equipped with my trusty SKS and Ambition. Passing over frozen lake on way to community cabin to stay the night and leave for my truck in the morning. Storm hits earlier than expected. Decide to pitch shelter half and stay the night on the lake. Pitch shelter system in about 5 minutes maximum. Brought me a Canadian IMP and some chunky beef stew. Take out my thermos when suddenly I hear movement around the shelter. It's some medium-sized animal. Stay very still. Hold breath. Sweating bullets. Clench my cheeks for about 10 minutes until I'm sure it's gone. Peek out with trusty high point. In hindsight, SKS would have been the better option. Nothing there, return to heating my beef macaroni. Fast forward 2 hours. Storm has lifted and left. Decide that I'm not gonna stay the night on the lake and I'm gonna finish the walk to the cabin, 2 hours away. Pack up system and start moving. Wolf tracks fucking everywhere. Everywhere in the fresh snow. At this point the storm had been gone for 1 hour, so they had to been by recently. The track are leading the opposite direction, so I'm okay right. Was paranoid for the entire trip after that. The whole 3-hour walk back to the truck was fucking terrifying. I don't wanna get killed by a oversized husky. It was cold outside, around 12 or 13 Fahrenheit, I believe. And it was snowing, too. The weather predicted 6 to 8 inches of snow or so. I had been hoping for a snow day the next day, and boy did I get one. My friends and I were on the way home on the bus, about halfway to my stop. My friend pointed out the window and said, "It's snowing really hard. Is this really a whiteout?" I shook my head and told him, "No, it's probably just the windows. The fog is distorting the view even more than the snow itself." He wiped his hand down the grimy bus window and there was little difference. I don't think so, I laughed and said we'd see. We were getting close to my stop and I stood up, teetering a bit when the bus came to a complete stop. There were 2 of us at my stop, both of us lived a few hundred feet up the hill. As I strode down the aisle of the bus, I wished the bus driver luck in making his trek safely. He thanked me and I departed the bus. I circled around the front just a few feet behind my neighbor. His house was a few behind mine, so he'd get there first. We started the walk up the hill. There were a few tire tracks, but no footprints. We approached his house and he veered off to the right and walked down his driveway, entering the safety of his home. It was still snowing out, not very heavily, but there sure was a lot coming down at once. I couldn't see more than 3 yards or so in front of me, making it difficult to stay on track. I still had a few minutes of walking before I arrived at my house, and I knew I'd be able to keep my mind off the snow. I kept myself occupied, and I convicted to think about the day I had had. I had taken a chemistry midterm that day. It was fairly easy, significant figures, chemical bonds, nomenclature, half of the whole shebang. Our teacher was remarkably quick at grading our tests and quizzes and returning them to us. The entire class had finished and she had gone to grade them. I had hoped for an 80, but I fell just 5 points short with a 75. I was a little disappointed, but I passed, which was good enough for me. I had begun to think about how much chemistry applied to my life, and I thought about the first question. What temperature, in Celsius, does a water molecule freeze? I looked around and noticed I was surrounded by frozen water molecules. I had walked considerably farther than I needed to. The tire tracks had gone, and there weren't even any trees around me. The road continued up a ways, but there were trees next to just about every house in the neighborhood. I began to panic, looking around for houses to tell me where I was. I don't know what compelled me to keep moving forward instead of retracing my steps. I kept walking as the snow thinned a bit, lessening to thin sheets of falling frost. I had walked for a short while when I noticed footprints ahead of me, almost out of nowhere, fairly close together, and not much smaller than mine. I had gotten excited and thought they were relatively fresh. The snow only filling in a centimeter or so around the perimeter of the print. I started to run forward, my backpack bouncing with each step. I had run for a few minutes before I noticed another set of prints that just seemed to appear. They seemed fairly spaced out, like someone had been going for an afternoon jog. The prints had been a bit bigger than mine, the pressure of the person's step pushing snow out around it, making a considerable print. I had slowed down to a fast-paced walk. I had been a bit curious as to why these sets of prints just appeared instead of having something leading to or from them. I had walked for 2 minutes or so when I noticed a third set of prints, the same way I noticed the previous two. I stopped dead in my tracks and looked behind me. The prints ahead of me matched those behind me. I felt a bit relieved, thinking I had been walking in circles. I dropped my bag as a marker to tell me if I was. So, I marched forward, thinking of excuses as to why I lost my backpack with the school's books. As I pondered the ideas, I had lost track of time, and before I knew it I was walking next to 3 uncomfortably familiar sets of footprints. My heart dropped as I saw my backpack just a few yards ahead of me. It was covered in snow and not how it originally was. It was open, splayed open like an old flip phone, each side laying flat. The contents were spread around it, in an odd manner. I walked closer, slowly and carefully. My mind was rushing and I looked down at the books and pencils. They had been arranged into a large jumble of shapes. I took a step back and looked at them from an angle. They were words. I screamed and kicked the books and ran directly to my right, straight away from the prints and the bag. I watched forward the entire time, hoping for no prints. As I was rushing forward, I saw no prints. I felt relaxed and at ease now. Looking behind me, I saw only one set of prints. I sighed and looked forward, and what I saw made me want to vomit. I looked back in the direction I had come and saw a total of 5 sets of footprints. I turned back to where I had been running and saw my backpack, with the same words that I had been sure to disorganize and destroy just a few moments before. Are you lost? A friend told me this is a good place to share spooky hunting stories, so here's one of mine. Be me. Hunting for coyotes at night. Perfect college student, so all I have to see with is a relatively weak headlight with white and red modes. Leaned up against post that has weeds grown up all around it. Small pond a good ways away, down a hill. Thick forest with a fence running through it on my right. Usually hunt when it's clear and the moon is bright, so I can see better, but it had gotten cloudy after I went out that night. Decided to keep trying anyway. Watching the pond and surrounding area with the red light, because red light doesn't spooky them much. Eventually see a pair of eyes making their way to the water. Can't make out what the actual animal is at that distance. Waiting for it to get to the water and start drinking. Move to turn on white light and ready gun. Apparently it hears my fucking clothes rustling or something because it freezes and snaps its head to me. I also freeze. Suddenly, the eyes start moving up. And then keep moving up, and up, and up. Eventually they're way off the ground. If I had to guess, I'd say they were probably between 6 and 7 feet off the ground, though obviously hard to judge in this situation. It makes a loud, half chuffing, half snorting noise and spins to run, eyes still raised. Fucking books it into the trees. Hear it running through leaves and shit, Then the noise stops for an instant before I hear a crash, which I assume was it just jumping the fence. It's gone after that. Freaked out, so I call it a night. Still have no idea what it was. There are no bears around here, and the tiny whitetail wouldn't be anywhere near as tall as that thing was. Okay, so this happened just recently, while I was out in Arizona, Kingman, with my niggies. Be me, just turned 21, and Dad let me take his HK-45 and 22 AR in a woods to dick around. Be in group of around 4, including me. Let's call them Mouse, ADC, and Cools. Mouse don't like guns and she didn't know that I was going to bring them. She's also a try-hard med student. Also loves photo. ADC is also super try-hard majoring in biotech, and as you can guess, loves League o' Losers. Cools is the Chad of the group, and unlike the rest of us, he reeks of second-gen Korean hypebeast aura. Anyways, we had to hike around to get to our campsite. This took much longer than we expected, around 5 hours. Being out of shape burgers, we are exhausted. Sit down and try to drink water. Spill water all over myself. Not gonna make eye roll. Being tired, Cool suggests that we plink with the 22. This is when we realize that my dad probably hasn't cleaned or maintained this thing in the 10 years he owned it. Shit jams every other Cali Cuck 10-round mag. Despite this, me and the boys have fun shooting shit. This is ADC's first time shooting a gun. My face when he hits targets better than Cool's. My face when he shoots on par with me. Mouse refuses to take part in our shenanigans, and just takes pictures. After an hour of shooting, pictures and rifle, we decide to start setting up camp. Not because we're bored, but because the sun is starting to set. No skinwalkers so far. All of us work together to make a campfire, and this also takes a long-ass time, as my matches, which were in my jacket, which is still kinda wet with water. After the first day's shenanigans we settle down. Cools takes out a guitar and turns on the charm. Guitar is alright but the singing is awful. Mouse takes over the singing. Amazing Grace.mp3. Overall super comfy to listen to Mouse and Cools while eating MREs. Time to sleep. Probably having a wet dream about deer when woken up by loud ass, twak, noise followed by grunting and a crash. WTF. See some giant ass thing pressed up against the tent. Freaking out, about to shit myself. Think I'm about to be raped by a skinwalker. Stiff as a rock, too scared to move. Say a prayer and frantically search around for the 45. Wake up Mouse in the process. She sees that thing. She isn't a silent freaker outer. Fucking screams. mp3. Still haven't found that 45. The thing still isn't moving. Find 45 and freak out less. Shoot it. No reaction. Shoot it again. Nothing. Bruh.jpg. I unzip tent. Dead doe. WTF even harder. Why is this deer just chilling out on our tent? How the hell did a butt shot kill it? Weirded out but not panicking. Wake up ADC who somehow slept through Mouse's death grips cover. Haul the deer away from the campsite as none of us know how to prepare deer, skin deer, or are even allowed to hunt deer. Can't sleep after that commotion so we just reignite the fire with the now dry matches. 2 fat holes in Mouse's and my tent. Cools brought out his Rolex, checks the time. 5 a.m. Take guns and go looking around for a good viewing point to see the sun rise. Hike there takes our mind off the dead deer. We somehow manage to see the sunrise and make it all the way back to camp. Eat breakfast and explore around for the better portion of the day. However, on the way back we hear something like a bunch of distorted flutes and talk noises. We are about 200 meters away from camp when we see them. Long-ass telescopic legs, and a long-ass tail. These things are tall as fuck, the tallest being 2 times the size of our tent. There's about 3 of them. The deer from earlier are being eaten at, along with some black birds. Not really freaking out, but not calm either. ADC has the 22. I have the 45. Don't know what to do at this point, they could just be weird ass animals. Start to back off when Mouse can't keep it in. She was crying despite Cool's efforts. Breathing super heavy now. One of those things notice us. The smallest of the 3 hauls ass away. The 2 others do the opposite. They haul ass at us. ADC starts to fire at the medium-sized creature. I panic and hardly aim as I bust off rounds into the 12-foot mass running at Mach 5 in my direction. Medium-sized monster breaks off, making a noise that a recorder would make if you blew it as hard as you could. Suddenly, everything goes black. Wake up in tent. Huge bruise on back of my head. WTF. Cools tells me the small one had come around from the back and spat out some ball at me and that it knocked me out cold. Cools and ADC had drove the things away. Mouse had hauled me away during this. The best she had were the cold drinks in the cooler we brought to treat my swollen head with. Apparently, the medium-sized one was the one ADC had managed to kill. It went down a few meters after it ran away. This was what drove the other 2 away. They turned, ran, and grabbed their fallen. We all want to GTFO after this. Which we promptly do. The hike back was stupid tense. The AR only had enough ammo to fill one 10-round mag and the 45 had less than half of one mag. Thankfully they did not come back. This happened last July in Kentucky. Be night fishing in a small lake. Literally like 50 yards from Ohio River. Alone at 3 a.m. Hook quite a few decent-sized catfish. Switching from river to pond and throwing all the big cats I catch into ponds so I can catch them later. I'm about 30 miles from the closest town, which maybe had 5 people living in it. No stores or gas for about 50 miles. Listen to barges and party boats as they pass. Staring at the stars and drinking my cokes. Suddenly it gets really quiet. Dew and fog setting in. Start noticing these fucking bugs flying all over me. Turn on lantern to get a better look. So many bugs flying around me I can't see 5 feet in front of me. Fog getting worse. I'll just turn my light out and wait it out. About 10 minutes later it's so bad I'm getting them in my mouth. Fuck this. Give. Slowly work my way to the truck, tripping in the mud every 10 feet or so. Get to truck. Plug in phone. Put in keys. Truck won't start. Get out to bang on gas tank because shitty eBay fuel pump. Truck starts blasting California Dreamin' .mp3 at an ungodly volume and scares the piss out of me. Turn radio off and go back out. Too quiet. Give. Bang on pump. Half turnkey. Hear pump kick on. Literally the loudest thumping shaking the ground. Sounds like a T-Rex is off in the woods. Hop in truck and turn off dome light. Silence. Start truck. Turn on headlights. See big walking tree thing with antlers, get the fuck out of there ASAP. Have night terrors about being mutilated alive for weeks after. I refuse to go in a woods at night or night fishing with my buddies anymore, and they think I'm full of shit. My girlfriend and I like to practice two-man tactics while camping. I take the time to teach her proper movement and bounding, etc. We have been hiking in a Florida national forest. Planned a 3-day hike, 2-night camp. Our objective during these escapades is to move to a checkpoint each day, without being seen, and practicing proper spacing, movement, and communication. We are both armed with ARs. Florida is cool about guns as long as you are hiking, camping, or fishing. We both have our hunting license, and camping permits for the forest. We are pretty well geared, no cell phones, each with LBVs, sleeping bags, map, compass, radios, and some MREs, essentials, etc. First 2 days are solid. First night was quiet. Saw no people. Saw 2 bears, they didn't want anything to do with us. Tracked 3 deer. Raining lightly and a strong wind, so still tracking was successful. Second night. Set up our fire and prepare camp in a thick palmetto brush that provides good cover from people hiking on a popular trail. Eat some food. Have a quick shag. Clean rifles. Plan route for final day to get back to vehicle. Decide to do one more night. Both in our sleeping bags. Lightly falling asleep. Rain and clouds clear up. Beautiful stars. Start to hear what sounds like 2 people walking. Perk up. Could be bears, she says. Shrug it off and start falling back asleep. Start to hear a distinct noise like someone is swinging a baseball bat at a tree about 15 meters away from us. Girlfriend scrambles up, pulls rifle to ready. Go back to sleep, girl, it's just bears. I fucking hear a high-pitched scream. Sounded like it was 25 meters away. She drops to her knee and I get up and ready my rifle. We hear what sounds like talking, can't make out the words, and the bat banging incessantly. I'm shitting myself. Girlfriend is calm, cool and composed. She keeps scanning and sweeping the area the noises are coming from. Can't see shit past the palmettos and brush. I'm done packing. She grabs her bag as I sweep brush. All of a sudden we hear something running full bore at us. Hear another biped running at us from other direction. Girlfriend with no hesitation turns on her rifle light and fucking charges the palmetto brush. She's screaming, "Fuck you Bigfoot, I'll fucking take you out." I'm kind of freaked out, but I follow her. I'm laughing as I follow behind this little 125-pound ball of fury. She signals to turn off lights. She turns her laser pointer on. At this point the woods open to a prairie. We stop about 1 kilometer after a full sprint through the woods on edge of prairie. Girl goes, "Fuck, I think we are okay, let's head to previous checkpoint." She whips out map. As we are planning our movement around the edge of the prairie, I hear a fucking weird gurgle/growl and the baseball bat against the tree again. Oh fuck, here we go again. Girlfriend had less than 5 minutes to check map. We full sprint across the prairie and I'm looking over my shoulder the entire time. Screaming gets louder. All of a sudden we fucking see 2 bipeds, which look to be 10 feet tall, no more than 25 meters ahead of us. We immediately divert right. This lasted like 4 hours, we traversed until daylight. When it got light we set up camp and took turns sleeping for about 4 hours. Girlfriend was convinced it was Bigfoot, as there have been lore and reports about Bigfoot at Ocala. We finished our excursion and got back to the vehicles about 10 hours later. I was out of water and she had been saving her last few ounces. Once we are in the car and ready to go, she immediately starts Googling what we heard. I kept telling her it was probably a forest ranger, or some meth addicts. She finds a book about someone having an encounter with Bigfoot in Ocala. She starts reading it out loud as I'm driving away. The encounter was described in a book published in 1996, it sounded just like what we encountered, I was getting shivers while she was reading it. Never going back to Ocala again.